All right, everyone, it's a Donovan and Dino Thursday night. Donovan and Dino presented to you by Master Pizza. That's Donovan. I'm Dino. Easy enough. New name, same great show. And hopefully, Jimmy, you and I were just kind of walked by earlier. We were just saying, I really hope on Sunday you're able to call touchdowns for the Cleveland Browns, and more than just one. A few. Because so much of the attention on Sunday is going to be about the Browns' offense, and can they make adjustments and turn things around since the loss to the Rams?
Yeah, I think we're all getting a little bit worn out with we're close. We're right there. We're a click off. And I think it's time now. It's 4 games in, or it will be 4 games in on Sunday. It's time to go. It really is, because it can get away from you very, very quickly. I know
you're a quarter of the way now into the season.
So even if you didn't get what you needed to get done in the preseason, which I think is a waste if that's the case, but even if you didn't get done what you needed to get done in the preseason, it should get done by the 4th game of the season, whether it's the offensive line coming together or, the knowing where Odell Beckham Jr. is and how it coincides with where Landry is and things like that. And I think really when you say, yes, the offense is going to be under great scrutiny on Sunday, but Baker Mayfield's really going to be under great scrutiny because Lamar Jackson has come out. He's played really well. He has not thrown an interception yet. I kind of joked with my buddy Tony Grossi today. He was talking about the great start by Lamar Jackson, and I said he did play well against Kent State and Akron the first 2 weeks, because really you're talking about Miami and Arizona, which is a major rebuild situation. Last week, though, he did play well against Kansas City. He's not the reason they lost. So having said that, I think, yes, the offense, but in particular, Baker Mayfield will be under great scrutiny because he's been a little underwhelming.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Lamar Jackson is improving. Mahomes obviously is at a high level, and Baker's going to get compared to that group, this young class of quarterbacks. With maybe Deshaun Watson, Trubisky. He's all part of that new generation of young quarterbacks, and. It's a barometer.
The kid in Buffalo's playing well, too. Josh Allen's playing very well. The only one that's not really doing anything is Josh Rosen. But now, here's another thing. Be careful what you say sometimes. Baker made that offhanded remark about Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Giants, and he went out and had a Herculean game in his first game as a pro, albeit against Tampa. But, Tampa kind of handled us in that 3rd preseason game, especially our number 1 offense. And he did it on the road.
Yeah.
Jones did it on the road, and he made a lot of good decisions in that game. So it's a big afternoon for Baker Mayfield in a tough place for a big afternoon. But if he does it, and if they get going, they can win the game.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I always still go back to the formula. It's try to get Nick Chubb the ball 25 times in a game. Get the ball in his hands. And it might be 20 carries and 5 receptions, or at least 5 targets, one of our favorite stats on this show. But get the ball to 24 and let him, kind of make Baker's life a little bit easier. I would think that would be a good place to start. This isn't like, we talked about this last night, it's not like you're facing a Ravens defense that has Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and you can't run the football. You can run the football against these guys. We saw that last year.
Yeah, you can. They're very big. They're huge in the middle. They have 2 big guys in the middle in Brandon Williams and Michael Pierce. They have big guys in there. They have a kid, Wormley, who's in there too. So they really kind of clog it in the middle, and they try to outsize you and eat up a lot of space. And the Ravens have always done that with big guys. Haloti Ngata was a big guy in the middle. They had
Siragusa
was a big guy. Yeah, right, exactly. So that's the way they do it. That's the formula that's worked for them. You're right. They don't have the name players that they used to have in their heydays and their Super Bowl days when they were just unbelievable on defense. But they're still tough to do. I still maintain that the Browns get lost in the flow of their offense, where they might get Chubb going a little bit, and then they go, wait a minute, we're going to throw.
Right.
And they just get out of sync. And they have to really pull that back together, and they have to start stringing together good plays. Now, Todd Monken spoke today, and he didn't say much.
Yes.
But he did say that exactly what I just said to you and what we talked about last night. You have to string plays together. You got to knock off these illegal shift and false start, these pre-snap penalties that put them behind the sticks.
No doubt. I mean, that's stuff you can control. I mean, it's one thing to have a lot of holding penalties because you're getting beat, or whatever, but the pre-snap stuff, I mean, that's got to be cleaned up. I mean, you're supposed to clean that up in the preseason, to be honest, but that should be cleaned up. I wanted to bring this up with you, and I haven't had a chance, and I forgot to bring it up last night, and I wanted to do it tonight. On Sunday Night Football, as Baker was being interviewed by Mike Tirico, one of the things that they were talking about was, as Baker made all the strides and improvements last year, he credited Freddie appropriately enough and everything, but he said the name a couple times, Kenny Zampese, and talked about how important Zampese was to his growth and his development and this, that, and the other thing. And that was something that Bob Wiley had brought up, before the season started. Did we maybe, all of us, as we were kind of watching everything go and we were giving Freddie the appropriate credit because I think he deserved it, did we maybe overlook Zampese as a key part of what the Browns did last year?
Well, we might have. I mean, if he's saying that, I know he loves his quarterback coach now in Ryan Lindley.
Yes.
I mean, he really loves him. And, we could have Dino. I think that Ken Zampese was guilty by association, though, and there was no way he was going to be brought back. He was true blue Hugh Jackson.
Yes.
Hugh had brought him from Cincinnati when Hugh came over here from Cincinnati. And remember, Kenny had been relieved of his duties as the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati rather shortly after he had gotten the job. So I don't know what the dynamics were there, the inside story of how they were putting things together. If he was vastly overshadowed by Freddie Kitchens, really, and what was going on there, and Adam Henry, the wide receivers who were coming along because they had a couple of really great reclamation projects. Callaway was playing well. Perriman was taken off the scrap heap. He was playing very well. Higgins had improved dramatically over what he had done in his early years. If Baker said it, I give him a lot of credit for saying that, but I don't think that there was a situation where Ken Zampese was going to be brought back.
Yeah. Patrick says, as he thinks about Baker Mayfield, you don't have to be cerebral, but you just got to go out there and play. But, I think Patrick's point is, look, Baker was successful last year because, Baker was just able to go and let it rip and let it loose and everything. But teams you said last night, teams have figured out, look, maybe the best way to play the Browns is going zone. You've got to figure out now how to top the adjustment, out-adjust the adjustment.
Yeah, you do, and he's missing some receivers. He's missing some open receivers. So it's not all that he's not getting enough time. It's not all that he's he's not seeing things the right way. I mean, he's missing some guys. Yeah. He missed Landry down on the goal line in one of the 4 plays. In the last 46 seconds of the game. He missed Landry wide open at the 30-yard line going towards the dog pound, which would have kept a drive going, and he was wild high on the throw. He missed Landry down. I mean, there's a theme here about Landry. He's missing some people. He's got to rein it in a little bit, and he's got to get back to being real accurate. There are times, and again, this is the mind-boggling thing about watching the Browns through the first 3 games. It's not like it's a wipeout that they're not doing anything. I mean, you see it occasionally, but it's too occasionally.
Right.
I mean, you say, wow, there it is. Stepped up in the pocket, boom, hit it. He's hit Beckham a couple of times real quick. He did it on successive plays in the game on Sunday night. He certainly did it on that 89-yard slant at MetLife Stadium. But there's not enough of it.
No.
And he's got to do it more. And he's going to have to do it. And I think once he gets going,
he gets going. He does. And it's like, I feel like the best drive they've had all season might have been the first drive in that Tennessee game. That might have been the best sustained drive they've had this year.
Well, that was a drive that looked like last year.
Yes.
That was a drive that looked like last year. But who was critical on that drive? Higgins.
Right.
Higgins was critical. Higgins he went to Higgins twice on the first 2 plays. First play should have been intercepted. He got him on the second play, and then he got him down the seam that got them down to the 3-yard line. Higgins was critical. Don't know if he's going to play again Sunday.
Right. What about the guys in the secondary? I know Randall's back, but I mean the corners look like they may still not be able to go.
It's very, very disappointing. It's a hamstring for both guys. I think if there was one guy that was a little bit ahead of the other guy, it would have been Greedy Williams.
Yeah.
Seemed to be ahead of Denzel Ward, which really concerns me.
Yes.
Because Denzel Ward's missing a lot of games.
Yes.
This will be 2, right? I don't think he's going to play on Sunday. He missed 3 at the end. He missed 3 last year.
Yeah.
When he had the concussions. Nothing you can do about it, but it just seems like the injury situation has kind of clouded his burst onto the NFL scene. I mean, this was a guy that was a Pro Bowler in his rookie season. I don't think he's going to play, but in the past that would be just devastating. But Terrence Mitchell really, I thought, should have started anyway.
Yeah.
And T.J. Carey played pretty well. They're deeper there, and some of these safeties that they're safety heavy right now, but some of these safeties can drop down, play in the slot,
and help out there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think. I mean, you'd like to have Christian Kirksey in there for everything he can do, but I thought Mack Wilson did a good job.
Yeah. Almost came up with an amazing interception. I mean, that's his. Now he is well known for being way ahead of where a rookie should be in coverage for a linebacker dropping. It's just something that is natural to him. He did it well at Alabama. He's doing it well here. He did it perfectly in his first game as a pro against the Redskins, where he came up with 2 picks, and he almost had one in the game on Sunday night. He really played pretty well. He made a couple of nice plays on the edge, setting the edge on running plays, and that's going to be a key on Sunday. The first mission of the Browns defense Sunday is to control the run.
Yes.
And the run is multifaceted. The run is Mark Ingram playing at an incredibly high level. Gus Edwards, the guy behind him, a real 1-2 punch, both the same kind of runners, physical, pounding runners. And then Lamar Jackson.
Right.
You got to play him as a runner.
And remember last year, I mean, Jimmy and I talked about it. We talked about it in the offseason a lot. The Browns linebackers, all of them got exposed in that game last year. See if they do a better job of playing kind of the alleys and moving laterally and being able to contain better than they did last year.
I would predict, just knowing Joe Schobert a little bit and his character.
And I thought he was outstanding the other night.
He's had a great season so far. And he's one of the guys that had a tough Sunday, at least in the first half. Not this past Sunday, the Sunday at the end of the year last year against Baltimore. I would predict that he plays well Sunday.
Yeah.
Jamie Collins was
exactly.
He was a part of that.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
He pitched a no-hitter that day.
Which is a perfect segue to the Indians as we get ready here for this final weekend of the season. 4 games left for the Indians. They've got to finish up tonight in Chicago, then they head to Washington for 3 this weekend with the Nationals. And, we got off the air doing this show last night, and we're all kind of watching what happens with Tampa Bay, and then watching what's happening with the Indians, and then watching what's happening with the Twins, and obviously now the division thing is done. But, I mean, it's one thing to watch the Rays win, but the Indians did not play well last night. And I heard you talk about, I mean, Shane Bieber just didn't look anything like the all-star that we've seen from him this year, and the offense didn't help out either.
No, and Carlos Santana with just a bizarre play, just lobbing the ball over the head of Roberto Perez, and 2-run score, and they're down 3-0. No, it was a bad night, and it was a bad night to have a bad night, because Tampa won and the A's won. And the thing is now, these 2 teams that they're chasing, they're not flashes in the pan. They're good teams, and the other thing is they're good young teams.
Yes, and they're well managed
too.
They
really are well managed. You're right. Bob Melvin does a great job, and Kevin Cash does a great job right out of the Indian system. So Oakland plays tonight, start of a 4-game series in Seattle. Seattle not having a great year. And then Tampa's off tonight, but in Toronto over the weekend. The Indians, Chicago tonight. And then Washington over the weekend, which will be interesting to see how Washington plays, because they have the spot. They would like to have the home game in the wild card game. The Indians could finish with 97 wins and not make the playoffs.
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
here's the other thing,
there's been years like that in this Jacobs Field, Progressive Field era where they've had high win totals and have missed out on the playoffs. It's happened a couple of times, but
I think 97 wins.
That's
if they, the first people they blame are the Dolans on that.
Yeah.
But they had 97 wins, and look at what they went through.
Right.
No Kluber.
Right.
Clevenger hurt for a long period of time. Carrasco with a devastating situation, and he's come back.
Yeah.
Ramirez.
Kipnis
is out. They should have signed Michael Brantley.
Yes.
No doubt about it. You want to pin him on anything?
Yep.
Should have signed Michael Brantley. That didn't happen. That would have
helped tremendously.
But 97 wins and you don't make it. I mean, considering what they've gone through, that would be startling.
Well,
and Lindor was hurt at the beginning.
Now, Jeremy says, we've been getting diminishing returns from the Indians since 2016. It's been a really difficult season, I think, for fans because, and here's his point. The Indians get within an eyelash of winning the World Series in 2016. 2017, they get bounced in 5 games out of the division series. Last year, they get swept. And Jeremy's point is, let's say they don't get into the playoffs this year. I mean, that's where he's coming from with the diminishing returns. I get it.
Well, the only one
I understand.
And I get what you're saying. They have, gone down. But in 2017, they really went for it.
Yes.
I mean, they really went for it. Isn't that when they brought in Encarnacion?
They went out. They traded. They signed Encarnacion during the season. They traded for Jay Bruce, so they really bolstered that lineup.
Right.
Last year, they traded for Josh Donaldson.
Right. I understand what you're saying about this year. At the beginning of the year, it didn't sit well with a lot of people. That really the back end of the bullpen left.
Yep.
Michael Brantley, a fan favorite.
Yep.
He left. And there were others.
I mean,
they made a great move by getting Santana back.
Right.
I mean, he gave them a great year.
They traded Gomes. I mean, So
well, and the other thing is the clock is ticking on Lindor.
Yes.
And you'd like to win. You'd like to win with that player because I think there's an inevitable feeling that he's going to be departing at some point.
Right. I mean, you have a. I mean, enjoy him while you can. I mean, I can remember. I mean, Paul Dolan talked about it's like you have 3 more seasons. Well, all of a sudden now we're rapidly approaching the end of one of those seasons, and now you only have conceivably 2 years left, and it's hard to swallow. But it's going to be. But if the Indians can figure out a way to get the win tonight and be a game out of Tampa Bay anyway, we'll see what Oakland does. But you're a game out going into the weekend. You still have a shot. You still have a shot. It would be fun to see. I mean, this is rookie Aaron Savali pitching tonight. I mean, he would not have scripted it back in April that, going down in the final week of a pennant race, Aaron Savali, starting pitcher, but that's where they're at right now.
Well, it's like Jared Wright, right? And it's kind of like Danny Salazar that year. They got into the one-game playoff, into the wild card game against the Rays.
Right.
I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I would say that Bieber looks a little out of gas.
Yes,
though right now. I mean, he's young. He's never gone this far, this deep into it. He's an interesting project, though.
Yeah, I think he is definitely surpassed, I think, what maybe we thought he was going to be, and certainly we saw that in the All-Star game as well. But it's going to be a fun weekend. Again, Indians in a pennant race this weekend. Browns back at it Sunday. You're heading to Baltimore. Crab cakes.
I'm not a crab cake guy. They have a marvelous Little Italy right off the Inner Harbor, and so I love going over there.
Yes.
Real great atmosphere, great setting,
Baltimore's
great food.
Baltimore's a great town.
It is, it's a fun town. I mean, the Inner Harbor is beautiful. The facilities are beautiful. Sometimes I know it's sacrilegious to say that M&T Bank Stadium is a beautiful stadium because it cost us the original Browns. But it is. It's a beautiful stadium. It really is. And Camden Yards is right there.
Right.
I mean, you can, it's right outside the back door. You can go there. It's a fun place. And the atmosphere is amazing there.
Yeah.
It always has been.
Yeah. Well, safe travels.
We'll
see you back here next week. We'll have Jimmy on Monday morning for After Further Review around 10:15, and we'll talk about the game, and then back here on this show then on Tuesday. Getting ready for another Monday night trip. But that's next week. That's next week's problem. That's not this week's problem. Hey, Donovan and Dino is always presented to you by our friends at Master Pizza. Get that Master Pizza app on your smartphone today. Earn pizza points. You get some great stuff. That's Master Pizza. Taste above all. For Jimmy, I'm Dino. Thanks for watching Donovan and Dino right here on 3 News Facebook Live and also on YouTube.
All right.
All right.